Everyone, happy spring. I'm COVID negative. I almost said positive. I'm COVID negative. I've never been so happy to be negative. Hey, I'm really happy you're with us here. Wherever you're watching from around the country, welcome. If you're with us here live this morning, don't be shy. Chat, say hello, tell us where you're watching from. And to those who are with us here at Light Ridge this morning, welcome to our new Sunday morning home. Okay, today, you ready? You ready for this? Tonight, actually, we're bringing back our wine and cheese hangouts with me and Amy, and always with some of our other church leader team. These are for anyone new to Dulles. They're casual, they're come and go hangouts designed for you to get to know Dulles Church a little bit better, to get to know us a little bit better, and for us to be able to hang out with you. Anyone is welcome. So come join us here in my backyard this evening from 4 to 5:30. Kids are welcome. All we ask is that you RSVP at wine@dulleschurch.org, and we will send you our address. I hope you'll join us. Okay, another important event that is happening in my backyard in almost 48 hours is Vision Night. We've been talking about this. It's from 7 to 8 this Tuesday night. This is all about becoming more involved in our church's movement of renewal, and I'm asking you to be there. If you're new to our Dulles church family and you want to get more involved, this night is for you. If you've been part of our church community for a while and called Dulles Church your home, this night is for you. If you're a part of our online community, this night is also for you. I'm inviting each one of you to join us to talk about this movement of renewal at Dulles and how we each can be more involved. It's this Tuesday night, April 13th from 7 to 8 here in my backyard and on Zoom. Bring a chair and RSVP at christinab@dulleschurch.org. As a reminder, your giving here at Dulles makes possible everything we do throughout the week, our church weekend gatherings, and how we express the love of God to our world. As much as I would rather not mention money or giving ever, we're actually taught in the New Testament that we need to, that our financial giving reflects our trust in God, and it reflects our investment in what God is doing through His church. So thank you for giving here with us. You can give through our website at dulleschurch.org. Finally, a save the date. Will you save the date for Saturday, May 1st, and will you join Amy and me by giving 2 hours of your Saturday to serve at the Dulles South Neighborhood Closet and helping with the clothing distribution that day? It's going to be at Light Ridge High School. We're going to have more details about that coming soon. Now, our band is going to lead us in worship this morning. Thank you to our band. I'm really happy to worship with all of you.
With every word I speak, with every step, with every heartbeat, Jesus, let it be for you only, my whole life, all for your glory. With every breath, with every word I speak, with every step, with every heartbeat, Jesus, let it be for you
Hey everybody, we're doing something different today. I'm super excited about it. But first, I've been doing this a long time now. I went back and thought about it. I've been a church leader for 30 years. I've been a lead pastor for 24 years. And I can't exaggerate how many conversations I've had with people over the years. I mean, hundreds and hundreds of conversations about life and faith and being connected to God, and how do we really know we're connected to God, and how can I be sure about eternity, all of those kinds of things. And I said hundreds, it might be in the thousands now of conversations I've had with so many at lunches and coffees and on golf courses. So I learned a long time ago that the same number of questions are the questions I hear most often. It's about 6 or 7 topics or matters of the heart, or questions that eventually come up in these coffees and dinners and times talking about life and God. Here's an example of a common thing that I hear often. And that is, Brad, if God is good, then how could his church through so much of history be so negative, or be against things, or be against certain kinds of people? And it's a great question. We've been talking about this for years here at Dulles, how churches throughout history have become against things instead of being for. That's why we use the hashtag for Dulles. We want to be for people and for the Dulles area and our schools and businesses and now beyond, anywhere that people watch and join us. We want to be for your community. And it's rooted in really a loss of control. That's really the reason. We've said this for a long time. My answer today is the same. Whenever the church doesn't look or sound or behave like Jesus, inevitably unfortunate, bizarre mutations are going to form or emerge out of that church context. Whenever church leaders take their eyes off of Jesus, the default will kick in for humans, even if they're church leaders, to self-promote or self-preserve, or the fear of losing control in some way. Here's another common question I hear and have heard over these many years. And that is, Brad, if God is good, why does it seem that churches for so long have been against science? Why this dichotomy between faith and science? And it's another really good question that I don't relate to. I love science. You know me, I'm a space geek. Astronomy and astrophysics, in my opinion, continue to point more and more toward an intelligent, intentional designer. I believe all of science is a tool that we have in this world that really points the way toward God. It's one of the indicators we have. The science world is one of the indications we have of an incredibly thoughtful engineering like God. Okay, those were just examples. Today, and in the couple of weeks ahead, in these 3 weeks that remain in April, we're going to look at the more common question, a question that I've heard even more commonly that's profoundly personal for people, and that is the question that's rooted in the idea that we're good people, that I'm a good person. So many people, I can't even begin to count, over so many years now, have in their own way described for me, Brad, I really want to be a good person. I believe I am a good person. And by the way, I believe most people are really great people. In fact, I did this exercise this week to think of anybody and everybody I could in the Dulles family here in the Dulles area, and those who watch from all around the country. I could not think of a quote unquote bad person by society's, whatever bad person means. I really could only think of good people, really good people. I consider myself a good person. And so that's the basis out of which the question comes, but Brad, how good do I need to be? How good is enough? Is my good good enough? Everybody asks that question, except for, I guess the exception would be the arrogant or narcissistic person, the very self-absorbed person where life revolves around that person. And what I've discovered, in my own opinion, is that the arrogant person is actually driven by the same question. The arrogant person is driven by a sense of not being good enough. I believe that's what really drives self-promotion and really narcissism today, is this haunting question, am I good enough? And the question is pervasive. The question relates to God, certainly. Am I good enough to be connected to God? Is my good good enough for Him? Or is my good good enough for eternity with Him? But the question is also just about life in general. I hear people ask questions like, is my parenting good enough? Or was I a good enough parent? I'm not sure I was. For students, middle schoolers, especially high schoolers, asking the question, is my GPA good enough? As you know, I watch a lot of documentaries. So many documentaries today are about students and the pressure that they're under. So much so that it's at a breaking point. A lot of specialists really believe that our students today, our teenagers, are at a breaking point under so much academic pressure, where the question isn't just, is my GPA good enough? But the question is, to get into college, but the question goes on, is the college that I'm going to good enough? And so one of the counter questions we're going to ask in this series this month is, good enough for what? What are we trying to be good enough for? Spiritually, we're trying to be good enough for God, good enough to be worthy or good enough to get in. In life, we're trying to be good enough to matter or be significant or to be set up for success, whatever success means. So this question really comes down to two prevailing ideas among almost every human. Certainly every major world religion teaches the idea that good people go to heaven, or another way to say that is that my eternity is determined by my good. My eternity with a good God in a good place is determined by my good. That's one prevailing thought that almost all humans share or believe in. And the next is my identity is really defined by my good. In other words, I define myself and my self-worth based on what I accomplish, how successful I am, or what I collect. That is a generally held belief by almost all humans. And the problem with this is Jesus contradicts it. He contradicts all other religions that propose this idea, and he contradicts our basic default thinking as humans, that I have to be good to be worth or worthy, and it actually, my eternity with Him is based on my good. So we're going to really address the question itself, and we're going to ask the counter question, is the question, is my good good enough? Is that a good question? Is that the right question? And today, Andrew is going to speak. This is his first time speaking with us on a weekend, giving a message here at Dulles. And I can't tell you how excited I am about this. Okay, so a couple important things here before Andrew talks. In about 17 to 20 minutes, he's going to give such a great talk that relates to every person and every demographic, regardless of age, where you are in life. I really believe this message is going to speak to you. And at the same time, he's going to reveal and really speak to the heart of his vision for our student program here at Dulles, for our middle schoolers and high schoolers. Now, if you're hearing that and thinking, oh, I can check out or kind of be on my phone now during this message, you'll be making a big mistake. If you're thinking, well, I don't have students, I don't have teenagers, or mine are grown and gone, so I don't really need, this doesn't pertain to me. This pertains to you. Regardless of where you are in life, regardless of how old you are, Andrew's going to begin unpacking the idea of this question, is my good good enough? And at the same time, he's going to reveal really the heart and vision behind what he's launching and really launching today for our middle school and high schoolers here at Dulles. I love this talk by Andrew. The directional team and I could not be more excited about Andrew and Jesse joining us. After a 5-month search, all over the country that involve North Point Community Church in Atlanta and our pastor advisors from around the country who were part of the interview process. We met Andrew and Jesse in early December, and after a month of interviews and them coming to visit us, I mean, we connected with them so quickly. They have just fit so well with our church family here, our vision, making a space here at Dulles for outsiders to come in and pursue God. I love his heart. I love what he's developed, not just in a team here at Dulles, a student leadership team, but really the vision itself. And he's going to start his message here with a video that our creative team has put together that really speaks to the vision of what our student program is going to be all about here at Dulles. He reveals the name here in this video. And then he's going to jump into this message that's really for all of us. And when he's done, I'll wrap up our message here today. Everybody give Andrew your full attention. I'm super excited about what you're about to hear and what you're about to experience.
What are your plans for tomorrow? What will you be doing in 5 years? Where will you be in 10 years? Maybe tomorrow is a school day. Maybe in 5 years you'll be graduating. Or maybe in 10 years you hope to be married. But that's the thing with the future, right? It's uncertain, susceptible to change, and volatile. But no matter how uncertain the future is, you do your best to control it and ensure that it's stable. Keep your GPA above a 3.0. Work hard. Be in as many clubs as you can. Make sure you have more community service hours than the person next to you. Make sure you get noticed by top university scouts. Make good choices. But what if I told you that your future was defined by more than your GPA or your school accolades? What if those things only made up a fraction of defining your future? You see, it's not wrong to focus on those things, but too often we let them take precedence over the moments that really define who you are and who you will become. The 45 is a place where we walk with you through those moments to then help shape them into a compelling future. We believe that every one of your moments are profound. We believe that every one of your moments matter. We believe in you.
Wow, what a video, right? I still have goosebumps just watching it every single time I watch it. So there it is. First of all, I just want to thank all the student creative leaders and the student leaders, parents, students, Brad, Amy, the directional team. You guys have all played an integral part in making the birth of the 45 a reality. And if we didn't have one component, it wouldn't have happened. So thank you guys so much. And I'm super excited about it. I'm super excited that we now are able to finally reveal everything and show you and talk about it. And it's so fitting that we are starting this series, Is My Good Good Enough? Because it ties directly into the vision of the 45. And ultimately it veins into the vision of Dulles Church as a whole. And so we're talking about the question, is my good good enough? Right? That question is asked by people that are Christians, asked by people of other religions. In fact, I'm willing to bet that almost every single person on the earth has at one point or another asked this kind of question, is my good good enough? Or some variant, am I good enough? Students ask, is my GPA good enough? Employees will ask, is my sales numbers good enough? At the root of that question, we have to ask, right after it, we have to ask, well, good enough for what? Right? What are we trying to be good enough for? And at the root of the question, is my good good enough, lies a desire to control. When we ask, is my good good enough, what we're really asking is, what do I need to do, or have I done enough to control the outcome that I want? We're going to be dissecting that question, is my good good enough? And the first thing we're going to look at about that question is what our desire to control something does to our focus. So there have been many times when I've been preoccupied with something, right? Sending a text message, writing an email, watching a TV show, cooking dinner, playing video games, whatever it is. And I'm pretty good at multitasking, but Jessie, my wife, can attest to the fact that I'm not an expert at it, right? Because when I'm doing things, I'm in the zone. So sometimes she'll start to talk to me, or she'll ask me a question in there, and I'll like half hear the question, and then I'll start to try to respond, and I'll realize I didn't hear the last 30 seconds of what she just said. Or sometimes I just completely miss it altogether, right? I'm sure that this is something that we can all relate to, where we're doing something and we are in the zone. Our eyes and our ears are completely occupied with the task at hand, and we're just not aware of what's going on around us. We're not aware. Our focus is just on one thing. Our desire to control something and our focus are inseparable. Those things go hand in hand. So let's put it in a very practical thing. If you are making a meal, all right, your desired outcome is to produce a delicious, nutritious, and timely meal, all right? And so you're doing that. You are making sure that you have all the right ingredients in one spot. Is the oven at the right temperature? Are these carrots like sliced thin enough? Those are the things that we're focusing on to then be able to have the outcome that we want, a meal, right? Or let's say a student, right? Let's say a student is sitting in the hallway at the door waiting for their next class, and they're sitting down and they're studying because the final is coming up in that next class, and they're just doing some last minute studying. In your mind, the student's objective, their desired outcome, is to get a good grade on the final. So they're going through their flashcards, going through their notes, thinking to themselves, did I study the right chapters? What do blue highlights mean? Columbus sailed the ocean blue in 1492. All those different things are going through your head, right? You're completely in the zone. You are focused on what your objective is. And in both scenarios, there's a goal, right? With the cooking, the goal is the meal. With the studying and student, the goal is a good grade. And each individual will try to do things to control the outcome of that goal. And those things that they were doing, those are moments they are spending contributing to that goal, contributing to that outcome. And they're important. But when we're in that headspace, when we want to control the outcome, we also begin to assess and assign value to those moments. So the carrots, the temperature, studying, the notes, all those things, we are assigning a value to them as to how valuable they are to us being able to have the outcome that we want. The value of a given moment is analyzed and assigned by our focus. It's our focus that determines whether or not a moment is valuable. So let's go back. Take the cooking example, right? Let's say you're about to make the seasoning, okay? And you have all the ingredients out, you have all the spices and the herbs and the oils out, and you're measuring stuff out, and you have your teaspoon and you're pouring it just to make sure that it gets to the right level. And in the background, out of focus, when you're like focusing on something that's really close and everything else is blurred in the background, out of focus in the back, the parent's child walks in home from practice, and they see them in out of focus in the back. They see them walking from practice. They say, "Oh, hey, how was practice?" And the student says, "Good." And then they go up the stairs, assumingly to go take a shower, get ready for dinner, whatever it is, right? In that moment, the parent's focus determined that pouring the oil in that teaspoon is a more valuable moment than anything else. For the student, they're sitting in the hallway. Dozens of students are walking past them. Best friend sitting next to them. There's a kid at the locker down the hall. There's a girl across from them. The student is so buried in their textbook because your focus has said, to have the outcome you want, a good grade, the most valuable moment to you right now is keeping your face buried in your textbook and studying, making sure you know all the facts. But what they didn't do is they didn't look up. Their face is buried in there. That's the difficult part about this whole thing with focus and outcome. When we are left in charge of deciding which moments are valuable, we could be neglecting moments that are invaluable. So what are those invaluable moments? Let's go back to the cooking example again. If the parent had maybe stopped pouring the oil, and put the teaspoon down and looked at their student and said, "Hey, how's practice?" And their answer, good, but the parent can see that there's something wrong. There's something sad about the child's face. That parent could have then maybe engaged and said, "Are you sure? What's wrong?" Because in fact, perhaps that child maybe didn't do too well at practice. Maybe their coach wasn't too happy with them and they were feeling kind of down about themselves. But because our focus said, no, the oil is more important than anything else because your objective right now is to cook a meal, we let it slip. We let that invaluable moment slip away. For the student, if they maybe looked up for a second, they would have seen that the person sitting across from them was frantically looking for their notes. Couldn't find them. If they had paid attention to the peripheral of the student down at the lockers, they would realize that he's not standing at the lockers. He's getting kind of teased by some other kids. Or maybe the best friend that's sitting next to them, if the student just took a moment to look and say, "Hey, you ready for the test?" They would notice that student's best friend having a really bad day. Their parents had a fight the night before and there are still streams of tears on their face. But because the student's mind said, no, the most valuable moment is in getting a good grade, so focus and study, they lose out on a possible invaluable moment with someone else. Another element of this question with is my good enough is that we are looking for affirmation that where we put our focus is the right thing, that we will get the outcome that we want. Now, there's nothing wrong with all of that. In fact, nothing in this world would get done if people did not have a focus to accomplish a goal or accomplish an outcome. The world would just stop spinning. If a politician just said one day, "I'm not going to really focus on what my job is," nothing would get done there. If a doctor in the middle of surgery said, "I'm just not going to focus on the outcome that I want to, close this wound up," bad things could happen. So it's not a bad thing. One of my favorite shows is Sherlock, the Benedict Cumberbatch one. Robert Downey Jr. is good too, but I love the show. And if you watch the show, one of the things you know about Sherlock is that he is famous for his observation skills, right? And he uses these observation skills to solve crime, solve mysteries. That's his goal. To us, when we're looking at the screen, our perception of his goal and his outcome is that he solves a mystery, he solves a crime. And even though it's scripted, it's still fascinating how his mind works. There's always those scenes where it's like a flashback and you hear Sherlock's voiceover and he's saying, "She had a tan on her left finger but no ring, which means that she was married. She has some crumbs on her dress, which means that she was rushing out the door, which means that she's a tardy person," yada yada, just goes on and on and on, right? It's so fascinating. But what you'll notice also in the show is that Sherlock picks up on everything. He doesn't only pick up on things that are relevant to the crime or relevant to the mystery. He's literally aware of everything that is going on around him. So what's his focus? Where is his focus directed? What's his outcome? What's his goal? Because if it was just to solve mysteries, he would only focus on the things that are relevant to solving mysteries. But no, Sherlock is observant of everything. He's like that all the time. And it's because I believe that Sherlock's focus is wider. His desired outcome is more than just solving the crime. In fact, sometimes I'm pretty convinced he's not even concerned with solving the crime at all. He's concerned with a belief. You see, there are many quotes from Sherlock that affirm that he believes that information is power. He talks about the little things being the most important. And so his belief, being information is power, allows him and permits him to just be able to pay attention to everything, to look at everything, observe everything. And what a belief does for us is it relinquishes the need to control. A belief relinquishes the need to control. And because he believes that, because he believes in this, that information is power, all his focus goes into observing and capturing information no matter what. When we choose to believe in something instead of wanting to control an outcome, two things happen. One, our focus is broadened. We don't lose out on those invaluable moments. Instead of letting ourselves be in charge of assigning value to certain moments, we are now open to be able to look at all moments, have a chance to engage all the invaluable moments. With the cooking example, that parent has now engaged their student in a conversation, has stepped into their life in a way that says, hey, I care and I notice. For the student, it gives them the opportunity to step into an invaluable moment with their best friend sitting next to them, to be there for them, to say, hey, you're not alone. I'm here for you. Those are the invaluable moments. The second thing that happens when we choose to believe something instead of have control over an outcome is that we are freed from the burden of having to assign value to things. Also known as just the freedom of focus. We are free to focus on everything. Just like Sherlock, it doesn't have to be so tunnel visioned to just outcome A, outcome B, outcome C. It is towards everything. Our mind is open towards everything. We don't have the burden of having to assign value to our moments. Romans 8 says that God works all things together. And it says stuff for the rest of the verse, but what's important in that verse is that he works all things together. He does not just work the bad things or the good things. In fact, it can be said like this, that God works all moments together. He doesn't just look at your bad moments or take your bad moments and make something separate. He uses bad and good moments in order to produce something. Proverbs 21 says that a king's heart is like a stream of water in the Lord's hand, and he directs it. God doesn't have a filter on good moments and bad moments. He uses everything. Last week, we heard Brad talk about Jesus starting a movement of renewal. And what that means for us with this concept of moments and valuable moments and invaluable moments and our focus is that in Jesus's movement, every single moment is relevant, valuable, and usable. In Jesus' movement of renewal, every single moment is valuable, relevant, and usable. Every single one. No matter what the world thinks about it, no matter what your parents think about it, no matter what your friends think about it, no matter what I think about it, God says that every single moment in your life is invaluable to me and is relevant, valuable, and usable. When we ask the question, is my good enough? It causes us to miss out on moments that God is using for the renewal of your life and for other people's lives. We miss out when we are too focused on our outcome, our goals. But when we step into the belief that lifts that veil, and we no longer miss moments. We see every single moment. We do our best to see every single moment. And then we see how Jesus' work of renewal is happening in those moments. And so my challenge to you this week is take a step back. Don't be so tunnel-minded and tunnel-visioned on one outcome. Look around you. Take a moment to stop. Do a complete 360 of what's going on around you. And then ask yourself, how is God renewing this moment? And how can I be a part of it? So, we revealed the name the 45. So why the 45, Andrew? Earlier in the reveal video, I said, the 45 is a place where we walk with students through their most profound moments to help shape them into a compelling future. There are two angles to this meaning, pun intended, okay? First, a 45-degree angle is scientifically proven to be the angle that launches an object the farthest distance. And we're passionate about getting students to the farthest place possible in their future. And second, the vehicle that we use to get there is this message. We believe that we arrive at a compelling future by having the freedom to focus and letting Christ shape and define every single one of our moments. Every single one. We believe in letting him renew every single one of our moments. And we believe that when he renews those moments, we get to that compelling future. And students, in the weeks to come, we're going to be diving into what this really means for your life. This was a short little explanation of what the 45 means, but we're going to be talking about that. We're going to be diving into what that means for your life, what it means for your friends' lives, what it means for your life in your family and in your friendships and in your teams. In fact, tonight, we're going to be having a vision night. We sent out an email about it. You can go back and refer to those details to get that. But we're going to be talking about it more. We're going to be talking about it a little bit more in depth. You guys get a little bit more of an explanation. Tonight, we're going to be essentially taking our first steps into living this vision out together. And I can't wait to do that. I'm so excited to live this vision out of the 45, to walk with you in your profound moments, to shape them into a compelling future together. I'm going to hand it back to Brad to finish the message off.
I love Andrew's heart, and I'm excited that you guys are really getting to know him more. Andrew, thank you for this message. One thing that you said here, Andrew, in this message is when we're left in charge of which moments are more valuable, we could be neglecting moments that are invaluable. And I love that. We're going to get more into that in the series here coming up. And so just to kind of whet your appetite for next week, I'm going to be speaking about really a problem that people have. People generally have two problems with the idea of God being good. One is that if God is good, then why? And you can fill in the blank. How could he allow, explain to me, Brad, why our world, you fill in that blank. But the point is people struggle with the idea of God being good when there's bad and there's difficulty and challenge and disease and illness and crisis in this world. And the short answer for now is that this world is broken and God has come to intervene in a broken world. The bigger question is that we're going to tackle next week that I hear often, Brad, okay, if God is good, then why didn't a good God do a better job of giving us the list of good things he expects from us? When it comes to Jesus, it seems kind of vague, and I get confused because he doesn't seem to focus on our good. And that's exactly right. We're going to dive into that, and I'm going to just give you this couple of verses from Mark chapter 10. This is where we're going to start next week. A very successful man approaches Jesus and wants to know about heaven and eternity and his connection with God. As Jesus started on his way, this man came running up to him, kneeling down in front of him. He cried out, "Good teacher," which is interesting. He uses the word good. "What one thing am I required to do to gain eternal life?" We're going to talk about Jesus' answer to this man next week and how this man's question relates to all of us. I love you guys. Andrew, again, thank you for sharing your heart today. I'm super excited about the 45. Students, don't miss really the unofficial launch of the 45 tonight. And I'll see all of you online this week and then right back here online at 10 a.m. next Sunday and at Light Ridge High School. I love you guys.